Hello and welcome to another session of AZMAT System tutorial. We'll begin where we last left off in the last tutorial. We did the use control keys to place results on and off from the U menu. Just to recap, we are running Microsoft Excel 2010 version 14. The additional information, if you click in the system info, you get the operating system and other details. It'll come up in a minute. There, the message box. Operating system information, OS for operating system. OS name is Microsoft Windows XP Professional. So we are running Excel 2010 under Microsoft XP. Back to here. I'm going to open the AZMAT system. Running this from drive G and Excel 2010. As you can see, I have other Excel versions, 2003, 2007, and so on as well. And the AZMAT system program files are here. AZMAT.xls is the main program file. Open always as read-only. Simple 2-character password just to open it, but the AZMAT system password is a little bit longer. That you can change yourself as well, anytime you wish on your own machine. Let the user know to wait while it's actually opening helpful messages here in the status bar below. You may notice that my own user ID and password, you may notice it's all maximized when you started. Again, more helpful messages here to see what you're doing. Let the user know by simply placing messages. All right, it's now finished. Going to come up with a message there. Because it's Excel 2010, all the AZMAT system menus can be accessed only from an add-in menu here. It will be shown in a minute after I finish this. There. So I'm going to restore this first. So I have, and I'm also going to rearrange it so I have access to the horizontal scroll bars. I have the vertical scroll bar, but not the horizontal available because I've minimized, and now that will arrange this file to the current Excel size on the screen. So in here, first thing I'll do here is I'm going to save this data file. So I have the current time when I'm starting. As the system will enter the date and time here. So add in U menu, save AZMAT data file. That's my AZMAT data file. Right, it's 11:46 a.m. on 29th of August 2017. Right, we will continue with the U menu commands to see what they are. Last time we were here was on the control key commands whether to place the results on and off. I'll just recap it just before we proceed with the other commands, because the other commands are fairly simple and straightforward. Changing to these directories wouldn't take that long. So we'll just continue here. Use control keys to place results on and off. So AZMAT system lets the user define various parameters. For example, these, that, for that, all that lot. These are all AZMAT system can do. A user can let us, the AZMAT system know by specifying those parameters in the AZMAT ini file, the user ini file. There's a user ini file and the company ini file. User ini file is for the user. The letter of the user's the ID, which is AA. In this case, in my case, I'm using AA. So the my ini file, the initial parameters file, will be AA ini dot XLSX. If I'm using Excel version 2007 onwards, and for the previous versions of Excel up to Excel 2003, it'll have AA ini dot XLS. So users can specify, each user can specify their parameter, whatever their initial parameters they would like AZMAT system to use, by specifying those parameters in the user ini file. But there's also a company ini file in which the company can decide what the users can do and cannot do. For example, the senior managers or senior dealers or traders may decide that not every user should be able to, for example, use the control keys to place the results on and off for whatever reason. So then there is a company ini file as well, and that company ini file, that's where the company can enter the parameters, and they will have precedence over the user ini file. So for example, if the control keys, use control keys to place results on and off, if it's switched off in the company ini file, which is, if I change the program, first I'll just show you the user ini file. So if I go here, File, Open, I am in the user directory, user folder, if you like. So there is a ini.xlsx. There's also ini.xlsx, which is used up to, if you're using Excel versions up to 2003, that ini file will be used by AZMAT system. Whereas this ini.xlsx is the one which is used in this any version of Excel including 2007 onwards. So 2007, 2010, and so on, if you use that particular ini file. So the user can, each user can specify their initial parameters in that file. This file is created by AZMAT system for every new user. However, there is a company initial parameters file called AZMAT_01.xlsx or XLS. We'll see in here. So if I change the user directory, no, sorry, not user. If I quickly change to program directory, in here, file open. So I'm in the AZMAT program directory, which is G, and then Excel 2010 I have. Then underneath that, the folder called AZMAT. Remember, the AZMAT user folder is G:\AZMAT, whereas the program directory is G:\Excel 2010. So that's where all my Excel program files are here. In this particular case, not this program, but actually the AZMAT system I will store there under the folder called AZMAT, and that's where I am now. So this is where all the AZMAT system program files are, and in here there is one here, AZMAT01, AZMAT_01.xlsx, because this is Excel 2010, so it's 4-character extension. So this is the AZMAT _01 is the company any file, initial parameters file. So if in this file, if in that file, the use control keys to place results on and off, if that is off in the company any file, so even if the user has a specified use control keys to place results, even if the user has specified it as on, or during the AZMAT system session, user tries to turn it on, it will not have any effect because the company initial parameters file has the precedence. That is what the what AZMAT system will do, so that the company senior managers can decide in a company what the user's initial, the individual dealers or traders cannot do. The company has the overriding right to say what actually happens. So use control keys to place results on and off. So it turns on and off use of control keys to place results for PV, yield, IR, discount factor, and duration directly into the current cell or cells. Control keys enable valuation commands to be used without using the X menu of AZMAT system. They also enable results to be placed directly into the current cells. So with the control keys, for example, control V for present value, or control Y for yield, control I for internal rate of return, so on, I can place the cursor anywhere and the result will be placed there. Also, they will be placed in this AZ parameters area. But the advantage is they can place the results anywhere on any spreadsheet, worksheet, or open worksheet. Whereas if they use the X menu commands from here, present value, yield, or any of these valuation commands, the results are placed in the user parameters area, AZ parameters area, or in case of discount factors, they can be placed only by what the DF res is specified. So in this case, it will be discount factor result 1. That's where the results will be placed. If the AZMAT system commands are used from the X menu. Okay, so let's now we go through in this particular, and that was for the control keys, whether they can be used on or off. So the other bit here is if this command normally it will turn it on and off. If the setting is on, it turns it off. If this setting is on, control keys place results on and off. If it's off, it turns it on. It's a toggle basically. If it's on, it turns off. If it's off, it turns on. But the user is always informed, notified of the new changed settings, what the current setting is. So you don't have to guess, it will tell you in a message, but now it's turned on or it's turned off. Same applies for these others as well, commands turn on and off. In any organization, whether or not control keys can be used to place results directly into the current cell depends first on the setting in the company any file AZMAT _01.xls, as I showed before. If the setting there is turned off, neither this command nor the setting in any user ini file can turn it on. So if the company, as I said, turns it off, that the company determines at senior level, the managers say, right, in the company ini file, keep this off, then the users cannot turn it on by this command or by placing the parameter for this particular function to be on in their own init file. If this setting is on in the company ini file, but let's say for the instance, if this setting is on, in the company ini file AZMAT_01.xls, individual users can decide whether or not to use control keys to place results directly into the current cells. Okay, so if this setting is off, individual users have no say in it. They cannot turn it on. But if the company decides to, if the company actually just simply keeps it on, then individual users can decide whether they want it on or off at will, either during a session or by placing the parameter in their own ini file. So if this setting is off in the company ini file, AZMAT_01.xl SLS or XLSX, individual users cannot use control keys to place the result directly into the current cells. In this situation, whether a command is invoked from the X menu of AZMAT system or by using a control key. So whether the user uses the X menu commands from here or by using control key. Okay, if the company says user cannot use it, then if this country, even if the user uses control key, control V, for example, to place the present value, or control Y, or control B for both value, present value and yield, the results will not be placed there if the company decides that the user should not use control keys by keeping that setting off in the company ini file. And whether the user uses control key, this result will be simply, it will not place the results here, it will still place the results there. The only difference will be it'll be quicker, so the user does not need to go there, click X menu and use the command from here, for example. They can still use the control key, but the main difference is the results will not be placed in their current cells. They will be placed only according to the parameters described in the AZ parameters area. At the beginning of each new session, AZMAT system turns this setting to the value found in the AZMAT ini file, like AA, in my case, the ID user ID.xls or XLSX. So in my case, it'll be the file, ini file will be AA ini.xls or .xlsx. So using this setting, at the beginning of each new session, AZMAT system turns this setting to the value found in the AZMAT ini file of the current user, provided this setting is not turned off in the company ini file, AZMAT_01.xls. Unless the initial setting is changed by the user during the session, it will stay the same throughout the current session. Okay, I think that covers that particular command. So let's now proceed to the next one now. Display results on and off. It turns on or off a screen display of results for commands from X menu. So this command is used to turn the display results message feature on and off. If the setting is on, this command turns it off. If the setting is off, this command turns it on. So basically it toggles between on and off. Depending what it was, it does the opposite. But the user is always notified of the new change setting. So if initially the result display results was off, and I use this now, it'll become display results on, and it'll tell me that from now on the display result setting will be screen results will be displayed on. The results will be displayed on a screen as well. So if any valuation command, PV, present value, yield, present value and yield, internal rate of return or duration, for example, if any valuation command is used from the X menu, except the discount factors, of course, because they can't be displayed in a small area. So any of the others, any of these valuation commands are used: present value yield, present value yield, internal rate of return, Macaulay duration. Any of these are used, then, and this setting is on, and the setting of this display results on, if this setting is on, AZMAT system displays the result in a message box and also enters the result of calculations in the relevant cells within the AZ parameters area. So the results are entered here, but they're also shown in a message box. The place where you use it basically is if you're away somewhere. If I come out of this, if I was somewhere far away from this parameters area, it's not in view, somewhere far away there or wherever. Then by using that display results feature, I don't have to go. Although the results will actually be shown, will be entered here in the parameters area, I don't have to actually go there to look at it, what it is. They'll be entered there, but they will also be shown in a message box on the screen. So wherever I am, whether I'm this worksheet or another worksheet, wherever, I don't need to come to this worksheet in this parameters area to see what the result is. The result is not displayed in a message box if the display results feature is turned off. Okay, if the display results feature is turned off, then the results will not be displayed, result or results will not be displayed in a message box. So they will only be here. If you're using any valuation command from the menu, the results will be displayed in the AZ parameters area only. So you can quickly, if you want to see that, you can just quickly use it to turn on and off as often as you like. Next command is screen update on off. Screen update. It turns on and off a screen update feature. This command is used to turn the screen update feature on and off. If the setting is on, again, like the others, just toggles between on and off and lets you know what the current value of this particular command is. So if it says if it was off, it'll turn it on. If it's on, it'll turn it off and tell you that from now on, the screen update feature is turned on or off. At the beginning of each new session, AZMAT system turns this setting to the value found in the AZMAT ini file, just like all the other things. This is in the initial parameters files, you can define once to begin with, always whenever you're using AZMAT system, whether you should have the screen update feature on or off. However, during the AZMAT session, you can always turn it on and off the other way around if you like. Whatever it was does not matter. You can just turn it on and off at will. When the screen update is on and the determine cash flows and DF dates area is also on. So we have here determine cash flow, CF for cash flows, DF for discount factor. A determine cash flow or discount factor dates area on and off. If that is on, and the screen update is on. If both are on, any checks carried out by the AZMAT system are displayed on the screen, if possible. For example, the check on dates. Please note that on very fast PCs, the user may not be able to see the relevant checks. On very fast PCs, as in current PCs here now, it'll be so quick that you won't be able to see it. But on slower PCs, as it goes one by one cell, you'll be able to see the results as it carries on. For example, to determine the actual cash flow date area or discount factor date area, what it is. But on faster PCs, it'll just do it in a flash before you know it's done. When the screen update is off and the determine cash flow date feature is on, any checks carried by the AZMAT system are not displayed on the screen. For example, we check on dates. You will not see it because it will just be done very, very quickly. And you've got the screen update. If you have the screen update feature is off, that's when you will not be able to see. Whereas when this feature is on, and the AZMAT system carrying on the determined dates, on very fast PCs, you will not be able to see it because it will very quickly just do it before you know it. On slower PCs, as it goes one cell by each cell down, you will be able to see perhaps. Whether the screen update is on or off, whether this is on or off, AZMAT system attempts to display the cash flow or discount factor dates areas very briefly before doing any calculations. However, on very fast PCs, the user may not be able to see this. So once this determines the cash flow, for example, it's going to use the cash flow area. In this case, the CF date, for example, if I enter 1 day, CF date 1 is actually that area. CF date 1 is there. And if I have determined cash flow there, it'll come out until it comes across a blank cell, in this case is, so then say, right, that's my cash flow, where I have actually a valid date, last valid date. All these have valid dates. That's the cash flow. Yeah. So very briefly, very quickly, you might see on slower PCs, AZMAT system actually selects that particular area to show that that is what it's going to use. But on very, very fast PCs, you will just not be able to see it because it so quickly will do that and then move on to the next part of the command that you will not be able to see it on very fast PCs. How to change the settings from your own macro. That particular one here, just like in some other commands we have, you can change, but we'll go through very, very briefly here, this setting. Although now in the older versions, in here, you could change this setting from a macro in here, but in later version, now here in the current version of AZMAT system, end menu has got your various macro commands you could use. So one of those macros could be allocated to one of these commands here, either the XL macro commands or XL VBA commands here. Very briefly, I'll go through that. We won't actually go through a demonstration of the command, but just to let you know very briefly, this is defined clearly in the AZMAT system online help file in the U10 page, U10, where the screen update on off, is defined. How to change the setting from your own macro. So AZMAT system has a macro specifically for users who wish to change the settings for determine cash flows or discount factor dates area and screen update from their own macros for use within the AZMAT system. The settings can be changed by inserting the following at the appropriate place in a macro. So in your own macro, when you're developing your own macro, if you enter this particular command called, this will be actually, I'll do it in a live webinar, then we can see it exactly. You'll be able to see what exactly it is. So if you enter small z, capital C, then HK for check. So Z check echo, capital E, CHO, then in bracket A comma B, where A and B can be either 0 or 1. So the first parameter A is for the determine cache flows, the updates area setting. The second parameter B is for the screen update setting. So in your own macros, you can actually you can change these, determine CFT updates area on off and the screen update feature on and off from within your own macros by putting this particular command as one of the lines. We will go through in detail later on, but by giving the A and B values either 0 or 1, whereas the first parameter A is for the determined cache flow dates area on and off. So 0 is off, 1 is on, and the B is for the screen update setting on and off again. So by simply having this parameter, the value of these parameters, the first one is for the determined cache flows base area, and the second is screen update feature. So if you have it, for example, so this setting will be changed as required and no message will be displayed on the screen. It will just simply change that setting within your own macro. So put the settings back to the original settings as at the beginning of AZMAT session. Enter. So equal Z check echo, open brackets 1, 0, close brackets, or equal to Z check echo, open brackets and close brackets. So don't give any values at all, or put 1, 0 for those values, because it will determine, because normally AZMAT system will determine the cache flow days, discount factor days area, and the screen updates feature will be off normally. So if you put it to that, or if you have nothing in the actually open bracket, close brackets, without giving any values, AZMAT system will put it back to that original values of those two. A setting of 1 means on, and a setting of 0 means off. Remember, on is 1, off is 0. We will go through this command in detail in the actual macro setting, and you will see what it is. Now, the second with this command, next one is extra screen messages on and off. So this, again, same like the others, turns on and off, displays extra screen messages on the screen, what it's doing, if you really want to know. This command is used to turn the display of extra screen messages feature on and off. If the setting is on, command turns it off. If it's off, turns it on. Same like the others. And always, the user is always notified of the new change setting, what actually it is now. So at the beginning of each new session, again, this gets it from your ini file, user ini file, what your initial parameters file, what you have specified, whether to use it on or off when AZMAT system starts each time. Unless the initial setting is changed by the user during the session, it will stay the same throughout that AZMAT session. So you can always turn it on and off to whatever it was opposite to that if you want. But if you don't do anything, it will stay whatever you had specified in your initial parameters file. Your ID, then ini.xls or xlsx. In my case, it will be, I'm using the ID AA, so it will be AA ini, AAINI dot XLS or XLSX file. That's my initial parameters file. When the setting is on, AZMAT system displays at certain times during some commands. So remember in here, this particular one display extra screen messages on and off. If this setting is on, only at certain times and during certain commands, it displays extra screen messages. So when the setting is on, at certain times during some commands, extra screen messages which are not absolutely essential, but are provided to give the user information which might be useful, are displayed. For example, in risk management, which is covered under in the Y menu when we get the old risk management, this risk management menu is really it's a whole system on its own. It's so big and comprehensive that the risk management really is completely a system on its own. All these commands refer to risk management commands only. Similarly, the Z menu, the AZMAT model, AZMAT menu, all these commands, they are applicable only to that particular calculation model. So that itself is so comprehensive, it could be regarded as a system on its own. But it does rely on the rates environment as well, because it uses the rates or curve files to do any calculation. That is the AZMAT model, Z menu. Whereas the Y menu, which is the risk management menu, doesn't use any of the other commands or files at all. It's a system on its own. So, for example, in risk management, this is where, just to explain, where these extra screen messages will be used to display. So in the U menu, where extra screen messages on and off. If you turn this feature on, or if it's already turned on in your ini file, you have it. When this feature is on, only at certain time during some commands, extra screen messages which are not absolutely essential are also displayed. So for example, in risk management, when any command is invoked from the Y menu of AZMAT System, a message is displayed as follows. AZMAT System requires full name of the JPM correlation file, name of the expanded text file, not exec file, and the name of the directory where that file, directory or folder where that file is stored. The estimated duration time of certain commands is also displayed. So for example, in here, the Y menu, there is these reports, risk report. Some of these commands can take up to half an hour even on slower machines, in older versions of Excel and older machines, which are much slower than the current machines. Some of these reports are very, very large and can take easily half an hour or more. And so it will display a message saying estimated time for that particular report to complete. On these current machines, which are very, very fast, these reports take much less time. But still, if it takes, say, 5 minutes or 10 minutes or so on, it will actually give you that particular message. And remember, the same message file, the report, which could take only like 5 or 10 minutes on these faster machines with large amounts of the RAM, random access memory or in your PCs, can take 5 or 10 minutes on older machines where the random access memory would be like only 250 megabyte or 500 megabyte, which is half a gigabyte. And now you can have machines with, I'm speaking in 2017, you could have 4 gigabyte or 8 gigabyte memory, random access memory RAM. So it's completely in a different league. So the risk reports take much less time, but still, that's where these extra screen messages are useful. And also, it actually tells you the volatility and correlation files, the ones it uses in here. So if I go here in the U menu, when you get to the extra screen messages, if it's on, then in the Y menu, for example, risk management, it actually tells you the correlation file name. What is expecting is the name of the expanded text file, not the exec file. You will see what it is later on when we actually start using it and we go into that, what it means, and it will become much clearer. And the other one is the other example is the estimated duration time of certain commands is also displayed, not just the risk report, but various other commands. If it takes longer than a certain time, it will actually tell you. Not the volatility, fairly quick, maybe a correlation file, perhaps. On older machines, it really is necessary. On newer machines, it will be very, very fast, most of these commands. So there is no need to. Or even if the message is actually displayed, it will display and disappear before you know it. So even though the above information may be useful the very first time, it can become boring. Right? So very first time using, or in the beginning, or while you're using AZMAT system, where you're fairly new to your AZMAT system, it might be very useful, but it can become boring when you already know that. So you, for example, this particular one, the message to display displays the lets you know that the AZMAT system requires full name of the correlation file, name of the expanded text file, not exec file. Now, once you know that that's what it does, you don't want to know it every time you use that command because it can be very boring. So then, in that particular case, you have the option to actually you can turn it off. So even though the above information may be useful the very first time, it can become boring. In AZMAT system, the user can decide whether or not to view such information. So you can go in U menu and turn the extra screen messages off. Or in your ini file, your user ini file, like ID, your ID, if it's in my case, it's AA ID, user ID, so AA ini.xls or .xlsx file, I can turn it off permanently, keep it off all the time. And only occasionally when I want to see, I can turn it on. So you, the user, decides what happens, whether you want to view this extra screen messages on or not. So the above message is not displayed if the extra screen messages feature is turned off. Right. So if you turn it off, those extra screen messages will not be displayed. But you decide whether to view that or not. AZMAT version number. This is the basic, simply the AZMAT system version number. Displays the AZMAT system's version number. This command displays the version number of the AZMAT system. It also displays the approximate date and time when the AZMAT system program files were last changed. Okay, so that is for that. Next one, what's new in AZMAT system? Now this was designed, this particular command was designed, what's new was when, for example, in an investment bank, the AZMAT system was still being developed. And you have each time some new commands are added or some new features are added. That's where those will be entered. So by clicking that command, it'll tell you what the latest changes have been since the last version. In your case, you will be getting AZMAT system, the full version as it is. And it's unlikely that you will get the any future updates as such because the system is already complete. So this particular command may or may not make any sense. But it describes briefly changes in AZMAT system since the last version. This command displays the changes briefly in a series of information message boxes on the screen. So one message after another. The changes are numbered and mainly advise the user to look at certain commands or topics in the AZMAT system for detailed description. Okay, that's all it does. Very briefly, points the user in the right direction to have a look at it. Now, last in here, now we have the change to user's own directory. So this one, changes to user's own directory, contains files which are not shared with other users. Remember, this is say in an investment bank or in a company here, lots of people are using it, files, but they might all be on a network directory, but the user's own directory will be on your hard disk, on your PC that you are using. So most likely it will be on the C:\AZMAT. That will be the user's own directory. So that file, obviously, because it's on your hard disk, of the hard disk of your own PC, the PC that you're using, that's where only your files are stored. Other users will not have access to it because other users are on a network on their own PC. They have their own PC. So on their own PC, C:\AZMAT will be their own directory. So this command changes to user's own directory, contains files which are not shared with other users. Remember, if you have it in AZMAT program directory, as I'll quickly change to that and show you. So if I say AZMAT file open, this is the AZMAT program directory, which will be under G, and where the Excel program is XL2010, for example, underneath AZMAT folder. And we'll go through in a second, look at the AZMAT, your user's own directory, that will directory or folder, if that feels better. It'll be under G, the folder AZMAT. So if I actually go up here, we'll go into that later. For example, we'll go into that later. Let me just show you for now. AZMAT program files are here, not directly under the G:\AZMAT, but G:, then there will be probably Excel 2010 in this case, or 2007 or whatever, 2016 and so on. And then the folder underneath, folder or directory called AZMAT, that is where the AZMAT system program files are stored. And also, that will be the folder where, for example, all the reference curves are stored. So ZRGBP.XLSX or ZRUSG.XLSX. The reason we've got 4 characters extension is because this is Excel 2010, and from Excel 2007 onwards, the files have 4 extensions, Excel files, 4 character extensions. Note that it will still use like 3 character extension all files, but the new files saving in that format in Excel format will be saved in the 4 character extension. And these files, reference curves, for example, ZRGBP, reference curve for British pound sterling, or ZRUSD for US dollar reference curve, they are all stored in the AZMAT program directory, and they are accessible, and all these other files are accessible to all users in that company. So they are shared by all other users as well. Your own program, your own files, users' files, they are not shared, and they are stored. If you now go and look at it here, I'll quickly change it. U menu, change to user's own directory. I could have changed myself by going into File, Open, all that, but it's quicker to use that AZMAT system. There it is, AZMAT. So if I show you here, if I go in this in the folder here, G, under G, they have is AZMAT here. That's the folder I am here. If I simply go up here, corner up there, there is a folder called AZMAT. That's the one your user files are stored. And the program files, if I'm using XL2010, the program, AZMAT program folder, AZMAT, is under subfolder of this, for example, 2010. If I double click that, there, AZMAT folder. So that's where my AZMAT system folders are. Let's see it from here. So if I see here, that's where I'm here now. If I actually go up there, that's the AZMAT folder. That's where AZMAT program files are stored. If I go up, I can use that one up one level. I'm on G. So we were there, the folder underneath that, XL2010, is the AZMAT folder for where program files are stored. The folder here, AZMAT, which is directly under the drive, G there, if I click there, that's my user's own files. That's where users' own files are stored, and that is not shared by other users. So if I double click that, I have here all my own files. All files beginning with AA, because that's my initials, AA. I'm using ID. Whatever your ID is, if your ID is VA, for example, I don't know, whatever you like to call it, or CT, all your files will begin with CT. If it's CT, CT is your user ID. So whatever your user ID, they will be, all your files, users' own files are stored in there. That's how AZMAT system is designed to be used. This is to ensure that even hundreds of people in an investment bank, as this system is designed for, every user can store their own files in their own area. No other users have access to this particular folder, G:\AZMAT, because that will be only, that's where only the current user can use. The user who uses that particular PC will be able to use if these are, for example, on C drive. So the C drive on that particular machine is only accessible to, in this particular case, we got it on the G drive, but if the C drive a user is using, C drive is only on the hard disk of each PC. The PC the current user is using. All other users will not be able to access that, but they will be able to access the files under the program directory, for example. So file open, all the program files are available to all users. So do not restore any of your file which you want to keep for your own use. AZMAT system will normally always store the files there in your own folder anyway. But you may want to, perhaps by mistake, enter anything, store it here. If you store in the program file area and some other user they can open it and change it maybe. You may not want that. So you should store, you're advised to store all your files in your own area. Okay, we'll come out of it now. Hopefully that is clear. And that brings us to the end of this particular, so U menu in here. I've only described that user's own directory, but there are other directories. We'll just go through quickly, have a look at it, what they are. So the user's own directory is that, we saw that, your own files are stored. Program directory where all AZMAT system program files are stored, as well as also the reference curves or rates files like ZRUSD or ZRGBP and JPY and XEU for Euro, etc. .XLS or XLSX, for example. They're all stored in the AZMAT program directory. However, there are other directories or folders for example, AZMAT query files. So if I change it to that in here, we may or may not have files right now. At this point, nothing is here because I haven't done any on this particular folder. I have not actually used it. But as we later on use it, you will see those files, the result files will be stored here. This one, just to show you, this is here under AZMAT G, then XL2010, for example, then AZMAT, where the AZMAT system program files are stored, and it's a subfolder of that. There are 5 subfolders under AZMAT, as you will see. If I go up here, I'm trying to get to that. Let's see. No, it won't get to me here. Okay, I'm going to come out of this. I'll try to say File, Open. Open, go up one area. No, that is only going to, I'm going to show you here. There are the folders here from the AZMAT here. I was trying to get it on the file of a different one. With the Windows Explorer, I could have shown it very easily, but here you can see that. AZMAT system program files are all stored under AZMAT folder, but within that folder, it has subfolders. These 5 subfolders: AZMAT back, AZMAT X12, AZMAT MSC for miscellaneous, AZMAT sub, AZMAT text. All this at this point, as you can see, folder is empty. This one has files, this one has files, and this one has one file, and this is various other folders are here for that, but we'll go into that later on. So basically, all those other commands you saw in here, I can't go there. If I click there now, I mean, I've opened this dialog box for the file open dialog box. I won't be able to get to that until I cancel it. But remember, that particular one has got 5 different folders to change to. So the text directory, text folder, subfolder, MSC, the risk management and all that, where they are, what they are. By that way, you can very quickly change to it. So cancel that. So if I come here, add-ins, view menu, I can change to those 5 folders from here. In fact, actually, the AZMAT user's own directory, those who have been listening keenly, they might remember, although that shows 5 folders in the AZMAT, this one, AZMAT, uses own directory. I'm calling directory. Directory is the same as folder, because that's what folders were originally called, directory, or short DIR. Now, so DIR is short for directory. It's the same as folder. We call it folder now, but originally they were called directories or directory. Directory is plural, and directory, they're singular. So around all DIR, short for that. So change to AZMAT query, that's the text files directory, change to bond database files directory, and change to volatility and correlation files directory. Change to AZMAT program directory. And the one you do not have here is the change to AZMAT back directory, which if I show you, you have to go back there, because that, although it has got 5 folders, that folder is not shown here because it has nothing to do with AZMAT system where the program files are stored. It's a completely different reason why that particular folder is there. So this one, change to user's own directory, is not a subfolder of AZMAT program, where the AZMAT program files are. Okay, hopefully that is clear. And so that's what it is. We can very quickly change this AZMAT query text file or bond database file directory. So if I go and see file open, I'm here AZMAT MSC miscellaneous. So all these, your bond database, the risk management files are here. At various, you'll see later on what actually these letters mean and why we've got these so many letters here, and then all beyond that, all these extra letters, they have some meaning, and once you know what they are, it will make sense. But for now, just have a look at it. This is AZMAT MSC folder or directory. So here, this is under AZMAT folder. So if I come out of it, escape, add-ins, utility, U menu, and that was the bond database files, volatility and correlations folder. File open. This is AZMAT. Oh, sorry, that's where I'd already just seen that. CGDB and all that. Volatility and correlation files. And I have here, I should have the bond database files. I may not have changed that to that one, possibly. AZMAT MSC. If I go up, I have here AZMAT text, sub MSC X12, and AZMAT back. It doesn't change to that, doesn't change to that. It has got these three. It's got the AZMAT program file directory, change to AZMAT program directory, and to change the user folder or directory. So it's not here. Okay, I think in here we've got it. So that's what it does. Basically changes the volatility correlation file. That's what it should change to bond database files and so on. Close current file. Do not save changes. This is, if you remember here, we have in the K menu where we had similar command, close current file, do not save changes. So I have close current file, do not save changes, and I have that command, close current file, do not save changes. So same command is used in the utility menu, because you may have it here, you might want to use it here rather than go to, but when you're using the K curve command menu, curve menu, you may want to use it here quickly while you're using the curves or rates file. Similarly, the check dates for holidays, we have it here. At one time, I also had that particular command in curve one, but I think I've now, obviously, as you can see, it's not here anymore. I've taken it off from here, and the check dates for holidays is not there anymore. Let's just have a quick look whether I have here. Yes, I have it actually in here, in the X menu, the Excel environment menu, because that's where you'd probably be using it very often. So while you're using X menu all the time, you want to have that command here. It has exactly the same effect, whether you use it from X menu, check dates for holidays, or you use from U menu, check dates for holidays. Same command. The actual program is exactly the same. It's being accessed from here, utility menu U, as well as from X menu. Same thing as I have the close current file, do not save changes. I have it here in the K menu, and I also have exactly the same command, close current file, do not save changes, as we saw before here as well. Lastly, here we have got view AZMAT help file. So it opens the AZMAT help file and lets you see it, but not in this version of Excel, I'm afraid. Excel 2010, Excel 2007 on here is not the, it's not, sorry, I'm wrong. It's not the Excel version, it's rather the Windows version. So we are running this particular version, I'm running Windows XP. No problem. If I click that command, I'll get the Excel, it'll open the AZMAT help file. I just want to see whether I also have it here. and one of these or not. View AZMAT help file. I had it, but I think I may have taken it off from there. So I don't have that in. I think I may have, yes, I have it here, J menu, view AZMAT help file. So just like those other commands we saw, view AZMAT help file is here accessible from the J menu as well as from the utility menu, view AZMAT help file. So these last three commands, view AZMAT help file, check dates for holidays, close current file, do not save changes, they're all accessible from one or at least one other menu. So view AZMAT help file, this is, I'm running XL version 14, which is XL 2010, but running under Windows XP on this particular machine. So it will open that particular help file. If I click that, I am here, the XL AZMAT help index and all these files. I can quickly go to, for example, highlights of SSO model. I can move one page at a time and so on. I can go to, for example, risk management commands. I can quickly switch to all correlation for currency.com, quickly to that command, help text for that particular command, for example, there, that page. So it's very, very flexible, but I'm afraid it is this help file, AZMAT help file, online help file is available very, very easily to you up to Excel, not Excel, up to the Windows version, Windows XP, basically, easily. You can use it from Windows 3.1 to Windows XP, Windows XL for Windows 95, whatever, easily you can see it, but not. So I can use how to use the AZMAT help file. I can use, quickly get to, say, my college duration command page, help file page, and so on. So this help file is available to you under all versions of Windows up to Windows XP easily. So I can just go back to the contents page, for example, here. I can minimize it, so I'm back to my AZMAT system here. So it's sitting here. Look at it, AZMAT system help file. I can quickly get to it just by that. Or if I actually have minimized, or if I close it, and then again, if I go into the utility menu, click view AZMAT help file, or if I go get it from here, J menu, once it's open, it will simply bring it to the foreground so you can see it. Or if it's not open, it will open, but only up to Windows XP. From Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 8.1, again, you can see it, but you have to go to Microsoft Download Center and download a particular file, which will then enable you to open this help file, AZMAT help file, in up to Windows 8.1 by downloading a certain file from Microsoft Windows Center. But from Windows 10 onwards, I'm afraid you cannot open directly this particular help file. So it's not the Excel version, but it's the Windows version which determines, because Microsoft changed the help engine. So you will, in order to see that, if you have an older machine which has got up to Windows XP, you can open that. Not that you don't even need to start Excel and all that. You can just simply go on the Windows Explorer and open that help file. So that's all I'm going to say for now. We will go through, I'll explain that in a different version, different tutorial from the Windows from the Windows Explorer, for example, how you can simply do it. Very simple. You just simply open the Windows Explorer and select the AZMAT help file, press enter or double click it, and then it will open that. So if you can use it if you want to on an older PC, the AZMAT system help file will open and quite happily run. You do not need Excel on that particular PC. All you need is an older version of Windows. So if you store that file, I'll show you. Let's have a look. So first thing we'll do is right now is go into U menu and change to the program file directory, AZMAT program directory. So in here, I say file open. So if I show you here, I'm trying to see where actual that help file is. All these are AZMAT help file, sorry, not help file. All these are AZMAT system files. Over 100 of them here. So I'm trying to see. My mistake, apologies. I'm actually looking, as you can see here, files of type. I'm looking at all Excel files. See, it's only showing all the .xls or Excel and all that. All Excel files we're looking at it right now. So if I change it to all files, let's see this. This is not actually the actual help file, but this is this file. You'll notice that as Excel creates it whenever an the Excel help file is open, AZMAT help file. So I'm trying to see if I can see in here where that particular help file is. No. There. AZMAT 4.HLP or AZMAT 1.HLP. Reason I have the two is earlier versions of Excel. So as you know, AZMAT system is very, very flexible. So you'll get both of these, AZMAT 1.HLP and AZMAT 4.HLP. These are the help files, the online help files in AZMAT system. The files are the same, except that this particular version will be, depending on which version of Excel you're using, AZMAT system will open the appropriate help file. So in this case, a quicker way of knowing here is that the reason I didn't see that before, because I had files of Excel types only. That's why it was not showing the .HLP, as you know. It was only showing all the files beginning with .xl and then .xls and so on. This one, AZMAT4.gid, is a file. This is not the actual AZMAT system help file, but this file is created by Excel when I open the AZMAT4.HLP file. So when this help file is open as Excel creates that file, .gid. So if I open this AZMAT1.HLP in an earlier version of Excel, then it will create AZMAT1.gid. But don't worry about that. You don't need to worry about why it's creating it and so on. All you need to know is this. So if, in order to run the Excel, open the Excel file on later versions, if you have Windows 10 onwards, you have to accept that in Excel, in Windows 10, none of both of these files, help files, they cannot be opened basically. Neither of these two help files. So in order to look at these, you have to, if you put these files, one or the other, or both if you like, copy both of these on an older machine, which has Windows, an older version of Windows, any beginning from Windows 3.1 or onwards, right? Windows, any version of Windows, older versions up to Windows XP. And then in the File Explorer, you just simply select the file like that, press Return key, and the AZMAT help file will be opened in that particular operating system on that machine. So if you on Windows 10, you cannot open help file. I would like you to open, but it is not possible under the Windows 10 operating system to open these files. Neither that nor that. The reason I have these two, as I said, they depend on different version of Excel, but only up to Windows XP. It will it'll open the appropriate file. So I'm going to cancel. So to open these on any version of Windows earlier than Windows 10, to recap, Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 8.1, you can open these files within Excel, provided you download a certain file from Microsoft Download Center. Then it will enable you to open those files under Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 8.1. In Windows 10, there is no file available by which will enable you to open these help files. But under Windows, up to Windows XP, you don't need any other files. It will open within the AZMAT system. But also, you can actually open them without Excel. If you have these files in the Windows Explorer, just select whichever you want to open, select like that. If this was Windows Explorer, press the Return key or double click in Windows Explorer, it will open it. And then you can see it, but only on a machine, on a PC that has Windows XP or earlier version of Windows. Hope that is clear. Let's cancel that. I'm going to actually change this here from all files to Excel file, all Excel. I want to keep it to this one. As you can see, I've got all Excel files, and those help files are not here anymore, not being shown, because here it is only showing .xl, XLS, XLM, and so on, HTM, HTML, and that was none of those. So that was .HLP. Okay, hopefully that is clear, and we'll now stop at this particular version. In this particular tutorial, we've gone through these commands, and the other commands we'll go through in a different version, in a different tutorial rather. This would be probably appropriate time to stop. So I'm just going to come down here, and here it was 11:46 when I started. Let's do very quickly, go in there, save as data file. So 11:46, now it's 1 p.m. So it's just gone just over an hour, just hour and a quarter, which seems appropriate time to stop. And because we will start something else on a different tutorial, different subject or different menu, if I'll kind of continue with that. Okay, so see you in another tutorial of AZMAT System. So stop it right now.